Okay, so first time with you guys since watching the film. I thought our players played really well, in all three phases of the game. Handled going on the road, obviously not, a hostile crowd like we'll eventually face, but still the obstacles of being on the road and being away from home. And, put a pretty good recipe to win. You basically make them go 3 and out or 4 and out, every series, and then, run the ball for over 300 yards and 60-some carries. You're going to win a lot of games. So I thought they played with really good effort, good energy, and, for 2 games in a row have not come out flat at half with huge lead, with big leads, like they did the first week. So a lot of progress there. But obviously we've got a lot of work to do with better opponents coming up. And starts with the #1 pass offense in the country by far, not even close. So, this is a totally different challenge than we've had. And, I think some people would say the best team that we've played. Most challenging team for sure, schematically and passing game, and then the defense is very unique, even though we do a lot of the same stuff over the last 2 years. It's very unique from other people.
Coach, just having watched the film and just your thoughts on Jackson's kind of response, the start of that third quarter and the whole third quarter after that interception to kind of end the first half there.
Well, he responded really well. I think 6 of 6. He came out in the second half after the interception for over 100 yards, 6 of 6 or 7 of 7, one of the two. So that's pretty good, and didn't turn the ball over, outside of that play. So it was a really good job managing the game outside of that play, trying to teach him this is not, you got to take every game independent of how you play and what's going on with it. And, this was a game where we were playing great defense. We were running the ball really well. So the last thing we wanted to do is take risk at the quarterback position because, it's like analytics. You don't need to. So sometimes you do a little more, when you're in a shootout. So I think he definitely learned from it. So you don't like bad things to happen, but if they can happen and you can still win and you can learn from them, then they're better they happen then versus, in a one-score game that you lose.
Are you treating this week the same way as last week with the quarterbacks, or are you ready to make a decision?
Yeah, we are. I know it's probably not exciting for you guys. We'll get a lot of coverage on it. But, it works what we're doing, and I would have liked the opportunity to throw more with Luke, but, just having empathy for what was going on in that game and the other sideline and, the hot seat or whatever, he's on, just really didn't feel like it was right, where if it was, a couple score game or something, Luke would have got to throw more there.
Is there an update with Kari Coleman? It seemed like he left a little early in that one.
Yeah, we expect him to play, you know that. So it was good for other guys to get opportunities. Same with the, targeting, got other people to play, and, we got almost everybody in some form. So that was good.
Offensively speaking, what are you still looking to clean up 3 games in?
I think, probably even though it wasn't a major issue, but in 3 games as a whole, the pass protection with everybody, tight ends and backs included, which has been an issue. And I mean, it's hard with the stats and the points to say a lot of things on defense, but, we still haven't really been tested in a passing game, in my opinion. So we're, like I told him today, you want to be tested. You got the best in the country coming at you. So we'll find something out Saturday.
Coach, just got off the road, big game every week, but Kentucky, everybody's talking that game up. What do you tell your team to keep them grounded to make sure we take care of Tulsa?
I mean, not joking, told them this morning, understand rat poison. I mean, it's out there and it comes when you play really well, and especially when the outcome is what it looks like, you know, in the score. So, you know, now, you know, our running backs are hearing how great they are and defense and everything. And so, you know, you still got to look at the process of things. And we missed surprisingly probably to you, we missed a lot of holes in the running game, you know, where there were a lot of big plays left out there. So, you know, we got to keep plugging along, and every week is independent of the week before. And, you know, these guys have to learn that, because it doesn't matter what you did the week before. And that's why you guys sit around and compare scores and, you know, well, this team beat that team, and then we played them and they played them. I've done that game, you know, and you realize that doesn't matter at all, you know, because that's why there's surprises every Saturday.
Do you have to pay a rights fee to Nick Saban to say rat poison?
I don't know. It's a good thing he probably didn't know, because he doesn't look at social media or anything, so he probably doesn't know when I copy him. But I don't know where he got that from when we were there, but it really is, you know, it is true. And you got to remember, like I tell our coaches, our kids deal with that everywhere they go. It's not just when you guys write about it. They go to class and everybody tells them how great they are, you know. And so, you know, we got to be very careful of that, especially with so many new players.
You touched on this earlier about not having to do as much with your quarterback against Georgia Tech. In your mind, what would be your preference for a balance in run-pass play calling?
I mean, I say at the end of the year you like to be 50-50, but that's the end of the year, because, again, every game's independent. You got no idea how it's going to go during the game, and you don't know. I thought that game would go that way, you know, probably running-wise, but then you think that sometimes and it doesn't, you know. I don't think anybody would have thought Arkansas would have been whatever it was, 1,200 yards or something, and 52-51, whatever the score was when you looked at the year before. So, you know, you can't predict those things exactly, and you got to do what's the best to win.
Yeah, after watching the film, just what stood out most about this defensive performance?
I think the pressure on the quarterback, you know, a lot of the defensive ends got a ton of pressure on the quarterback. Cedric, you know, and T-Rob for 2 weeks in a row have just been relentless on the edges, which is obviously game-changing when you got two, you know, unique defensive ends playing the way that they're playing. It's really cool. And there's just been a lot of learning lessons for our guys about just playing hard and not deciding when to do it. I mean, we're in punt safe, and Cedric blocks a punt that 99 out of 100 times someone blocks you on, you know, and so you don't need to go really hard because you're a D lineman, and most people don't. And there he is going full speed and blocks the punt. Or, you know, there's Mingo chasing down the receiver even though a whistle's blowing, you know, on the what they ruled as potentially the lateral, and Mingo's chasing the guy down, you know, just so we have another chance on defense if that gets overturned or goes the other way. So there's a lot of really cool effort stuff for guys to learn from.
And like you said, the schedule's only going to get more difficult. How hard will it be to kind of have these dominant defensive performances carry over into SEC play?
I'm not worried about that. We're not there. We're playing Tulsa and worry about this week, and you need to be, you know, #1 pass offense in the country. So, you know, it'd be great to have some home field advantage with the crowd. You know, when you're dealing with a team that's throwing all the time and you're trying to pass rush, so that would be big. Like we tell the players, it's Tell the Truth Monday. You know, we should have a better atmosphere than we've had here lately with as many wins as these players have put together, and have more of a home field advantage. We did at times during last year for the bigger games, but tell the players don't pick and choose when you play hard.
You sort of protected Zach Evans during August, or at least what we got to see. Did you anticipate him being as good as he is?
Yeah, I did. I think what's really neat is, you know, and Zach's seen him now, Zach missed some plays. Now, we put a lot of new runs in to give them problems that we hadn't done. So he hadn't had a ton of reps in him. Again, when you have all these new guys, everything is new. So they don't have any stored reps from us from last year when we did things and stuff. So he missed some runs that would have been really big. And you know, if he comes up here, he'll tell you that. That's what's really neat, is that he can even be better and more productive than he's been, which is really special.
Another running backs question. I mean, it's easy to see Quinshon now and give him more carries, but what were the traits that you saw from him before he'd ever stepped on the field that kind of made you think, oh, even with Evans and Bentley, he should be getting this many touches?
Well, I think it goes back to in recruiting when I was at that game, the state championship, and he had, you know, a ton of carries, and just the way that, like, his mentality and how he just kept working and grinding away. And then you see it in practice and scrimmages and stuff. Even though he missed some time, you know, he's just really elite talent and vision that he ain't teaching vision. So you get really lucky when you have it as a coach, a running back that has it like him, and you can see it. You know, the way he makes people miss before they're, like, as they just appear. That's not coachable.
Obviously, you haven't had too many freshmen play early your first couple of years, but now that you have guys like Quinshon, guys like Davison that are doing it, is that something that you want to have happen more, or is it just you had two players that naturally were able to play this young?
No, we'd really like to not have really unique, great players that play early. I mean, come on. You got to admit that was a bad question. But you are right. We have not had a lot of that, where we've had premier, you know, high school players walk in that are elite players right away. And so to see the running back and, you know, the corner and, you know, Taishim a year ago, you know, it's really special, because then, you know, obviously you have them for longer, minus the portal. So when they're that young and playing that well, that's great, instead of having to always bring people in to fix all the issues.
Jackson took on a couple of defenders in the running game. Speaking of running, he won those. But as a coach, do you want him to run as much as sometimes he's inclined to run, or is that something you guys have to talk about being selective?
Well, the amount of times he ran was designed, and those were in reads. Some are passes where, hey, he rolls out, and when it's not there, he runs. So it wasn't the amount of times in those other third downs or quarterback draws like what you saw Matt like at Tennessee and Mississippi State. So that was something we just put in. I'm fine with that. There's just, we have to, just like anything, a new player, new quarterback, you got to teach them everything. There's times of style that you run with, depending on the game, depending on what's going on. So no, I don't like that he's on the left sideline, you know, in a game the way that it's going, and he puts his right shoulder down to run the guy over. No, you know, we got to get that out of him. But that's a good problem to have, that you got to get that out of him. And then he buys into what we talk about, because he hears us talk all the time, you know, +2 mentality, 2 more yards on the sidelines, not running out of bounds. So I guess he took that to heart. We were really talking to the other skilled players.
Are you able to give us any update on Jalen Robinson?
Yeah, we hope he plays. I would really think he plays too. So I probably wouldn't have guessed we would have been that productive had you told me a month ago, you know, going into the season, that Trigg catches 1 pass and Jalen doesn't play. But that's a great thing, you know, to be able to be that productive and guys stepping up and making plays.
Anything else for Coach? Nick Broker was named SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Just how impressive has that transition been to guard, and kind of were you expecting him to be this good?
Well, I didn't know he was the Player of the Week until that, because our SID doesn't tell me those things when we walk up here. I mean, we just walked 5 minutes from the field and he didn't tell me a thing about it, so thank you. You know, when the team plays well, when a unit plays well, individual awards come, and he did play really well on top of that. And he's just one of those guys like that. It was so great he came back, which is new nowadays, because everybody just leaves even when they don't get drafted. So the style that he plays with and the adjustment of position, it's just great to be able to point out to the other guys.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thanks.